Hello, welcome. This is Michael Ensor with Advertising Report Card, and today we have a very interesting report card. This is actually going to be the most extensive report card we've done on websites so far because the owner of the company wanted us to make sure that we dug deep, and that's really important. That's what we're going to do today, as well as go through multiple channels, including SEO, PPC, and social ads for moving companies. Looking forward to walking you through everything. Real quick, how the advertising report card works is we do a deep dive through a lot of different reporting systems and compile a lot of data to find out what's working in your area, what you've been doing, what your competitors are doing, and ways that you can get ahead of the game. So we do an initial review, then we do a video recording, then we show you some instruction, which we will have in this report and this video. Also, afterwards, have a Q&A discussion about what we found in this report. In addition, give as much guidance as possible to make sure that as you move on, that you know what you need to do and that you have the blueprint and that you're confident in your decision making when it comes to selecting how you want to do your ads. All reports that we've compiled are in the Google Drive folder, and I wanted to go over the objectives real quick by channel. So we have web design, SEO, Google Ads, and social as mentioned. Web design, we're going to figure out how to make the site convert better. There's a lot that we found, and also one referencing the other competitors that we looked at, the ones you submitted as well as the others that we found that are competing with you directly for PPC or SEO online. Really break down why those fixes on the website will improve your SEO. By simply conducting these improvements, your SEO will increase, which you do rank for some keywords on the front page, so your site can rank in other cities, but you have to do the work on the SEO side. Next, give you the breakdown of Google Ads in Boston, a competitive city. You really want to make sure that you do the right thing here because it can become expensive quick if you're not on the right channels and you're not managing your auction bids, and we'll go through all the cost per clicks and whatnot and also plug that into the revenue calculator. Social ads, low-hanging fruit, always in the moving industry. But with that being said, I'd say the top 30 moving companies that we're competing against, a third of them do it okay. They at least have an ad running, which in a lot of other cities across the country, moving companies really kind of skip past social. They give it a shot. They might throw some ads out there for recruiting. They might throw some branding stuff out there, and they try for lead gen, but a lot of people just don't make the dots connect. So we're going to do that for you in this report card. Let's get started without any further delay. So I'm going to be referencing back and forth from the report, which has table of contents in it as well for navigating all the different items that we're going to be covering. But the main thing is I want to have the actual site up as we go through this. Make myself a little smaller here. And now what we're going to do is discuss point by point what we need to fix. So instead of going left to right, top to bottom on the home page, we're going to talk about the core thing I saw in the navigation, is there is no locations pages. There's no areas that you serve. Is that page 100% required? For moving companies, it is. If you look at your competitors and look at the competitive landscape, anyone who's top 5 in any city is comprehensive about the areas that they serve. They want to speak to the person that is looking to work with them. So the main thing I would say about that is making sure that in the navigation, you at least have a button that says regions that goes to your contact page, which should give you people an idea of at least where you're located. So on a bare bones schedule, that would be the first thing I would do. But what you would really want to do is have a comprehensive regional page for each city with an image or images on that page from that specific section and an image or images and video of your team working in that area with content. Now, you can make up the gap for the media with stock, but at the end of the day, if you really want to have the best strategy, you got to see at what can you do to either invest and get the whole thing done immediately, or if you want to work on a more of a budget conscious development schedule and you don't want to pay a web designer and you want to try to just figure it out yourself, what you can do is you can follow that step, have the regional link, go to the contact page, list out where you work on the contact page, but eventually you're going to want to have somebody who can write your SEO content for each region. The reason being is that if that page exists, you will become indexed for it for search. Once you're indexed on Google for search, people can find you. So you already did the work to have the page. You've expanded the content. You might have added a couple more images. why not go the extra step to start ranking against your competitors? So that's a real thing I wanted to talk about locations pages. Is if people don't know where you work or it's just too open-ended, then they're probably going to back out because you're not building enough trust to show them that you're local and that you're working with them. Let's go to the next section for the above the fold audit. So we have a hero image, a main title, and then we have the cookies pop-up. The cookie pop-up I've already turned off. So you can see here on this screenshot, there is a pop-up that shows up for all new users here in the bottom. And that is something that you do not need to have in this type of a layout. You see how much cleaner the page looks when it just looks like this? The problem with the cookie pop-up taking up a whole chat box section is that it's too big for your above the fold section. It's too visible. It's bright orange with the black button. It's almost a better call to action than your main section. People will get distracted and also ignore the section here. Another couple notes that I put in for the breakdown is being very specific about the content. This doesn't necessarily say that you are a moving company, the background image. It has a truck and a driveway. I get the insinuation, of course, there's some boxes there in the sidewalk, but if you really wanted to exemplify what you guys do, it's really important to have your truck with a logo. If you don't have a truck with a logo, have guys carrying boxes. Just some type of activity that exemplifies you are solving their problem. In this instance, what I would do at the very least is Photoshop your logo onto this truck. That would be one thing that you could easily do to make it look a little bit more like it's yours, like it's something that you're doing. So those are some simple recommendations, but the main thing too is that on the headline's small, so I would definitely work on the headline, and you're supposed to have a sub-headline. And the main thing too in the headline and the sub-headline is you want to be exactly clear on what it is that you're doing. So let's take a couple looks at some of your competitors real quick. What I'd like to do is start with the worst examples and work our way back up to the better examples. And I wanted to highlight this because there are a lot of ways to slice this pie, but I wanted to give ample examples on this because it was something that was specifically spoken about before we started the report card, is how can we improve the site. So first of all, you can see a huge headline, not exactly clear. Watch our video button, not exactly prompt. Why would we watch your video? And then we have a call to action form over here. And you have this big button up top that's very clear to see in the navigation. So what they did wrong, this entire column, on this side, the contact form is transparent, so it's going to be hard to read. I would say like 30% of the population is colorblind. Of that percentage, a lot of them are basically blind, or just in general, a lot of different types of contrast between the background and the foreground, especially when it comes to colors, but transparency, and then you have a lot going on here. As an example, sorry, one second. As an example, need storage or labor help. This is a barely visible. It's not clear. I would definitely recommend changing this. But the things they did right, big call to action button in the navigation. We don't have that. We have social media icons. I would scrap those entirely. Logo to the left, items across the center as to what they're doing, and then the huge button. I would move this logo. I like the idea of it being center. It looks nice aesthetically, but this isn't a photographer's website. We're trying to do a local business. So the idea is to make your business on the page almost look like a sub-branch into your business to show all of your services. Kind of like how you would find the directory on Google of a bunch of companies. Once you click into there, you kind of want to have it in a subconscious way of a directory. So you have your logo, kind of like the front, and then what you're doing. So if somebody didn't even make it past the navigation, like if this whole above the fold section at the below was completely covered up and you didn't see any of this and you only saw this, what are you leading people to? About us is not how I would start that navigation off. And then you can see that in this example while I was, kind of tearing it apart. Services. People are coming to your site for services, not to learn about who you are. They want to see if you are recommended. They want to see if you're recommended with video reviews. This is actually really strong. And then they have to get a quote plus the call to action. There is no free estimate or anything in the navigation at all, which I would also be adding as well. There's contact us. I don't think that is the term you want to show somebody. People don't want to just contact them. They want to get something. They want to get a quote. They want to get an estimate. So you want to be clear as to what you're prompting them to do. So that's very important, but I wanted to point this out is that this is fraught with issues, this landing page, but they're doing a lot of things right. So take what I just listed into consideration. Last but not least, call to action value on the left, contact form on the right. I personally believe in having the contact form on the left, other stuff on the right because of responsiveness, because this is going to go underneath this section. So on your mobile phone, let me grab mine, on your mobile phone, you're only going to see the little navigation, you're going to see the big headline, watch our video, and then maybe the contact form. You would want to have the validation and the beginning of the contact form, like get started, like right at the middle, ideally, if not higher, because you want people to contact you, and if they don't want to fill out that form, let them scroll down and see your reviews, let them see your validation, let them see your experience. So let's hop on to the next one. So on to a page that still has some things that can be improved upon after reviewing it, but does a lot of things right. A lot of things that I think AOA is trying to do. And this is a direct competitor, so it's interesting to see how they're doing it. You can see that they're Boston movers. This is AOAMoving, by the way. So the first thing that you did right as far as concept goes is having this sticky header call to action. This is great, but it doesn't grab the person. The actual, I keep coming back to this because it really is this like chat pop-up out of all the call to actions on the page. This right here, the website uses cookies accept section, is probably the best call to action on the website. And it's simply because of color contrast and positioning. So if we hop into here, the things that I'm not a huge fan of, the blank kind of just get a quote, no subcontext of what the expectations are. Can't confirm the form, call us to get a discount, but the phone number's missing. Fields are a little wonky, not really designed well with the CSS and the design of the website. The fields have different shapes. This one's curved in the box, this one's square, this square is smaller than this square. It's kind of all over the place. Next implies that they are going to move on to the next step. Good or bad, I'd split test this. I would say submit or request estimate or something else that takes them to a idea that they're done. Even if you ask them questions on the next page, you don't want to tell people that there's multiple steps because they might not want to start the process. Another thing too that they did right is this section. Look at that high contrast. That is contrast. You cannot miss this. It's an emergency to call them right now. Click that button, it's a call. So the button says call us now. It issues a call us now. Going to bring that back up on the AOA site here in a second. Another thing that they do very well on this site, they could even do this section better considering they have a lot of badges, is they are immediately validating. They are immediately validating. They've actually partitioned even listing the services they offer on this above the fold section, and they have a huge headline H1 up there for SEO and for callouts, but they don't even have a subheadline or description, which I'm not always for. You should have something there for context. Don't forget that there is also a huge population out there that is hard of seeing and uses AIDA framework, which is for handicapped and disabled people. Google actually looks at sites that do that properly to bring context to images and make sure images have alt text and all of this additional features and ranks them better because of that. So it's just better to have best practice in general. One thing in the navigation that I'm not hot on is the button blends into the background. I think they have too many call to actions in essence because they have this up top and then they have this and then contact instead of estimate. Pardon me. Also, in addition to validation, they're instantly offering a discount and they are offering some sort of guarantee, no hidden fees. So an overall strong above the fold section. So that's another thing I wanted to talk about is you have a lot of negative space here. Witnesses the truck. If you have the logo on it, that's okay, but you still want to have some format of validation at the very top. Your validation is at the bottom of the site, which in some instances, I guess you can make sense. They're done looking at your services. Look how good we are. It's the opposite. You want people to see who you are and how good you are at doing it and then break down what it is that you do so well. That's how you can get people on the internet to not bounce off your website in 3 to 7 seconds. It's important that you're isolating the value up top in this fold section. Some of your competitors are doing this not the greatest. Some of them are doing it very well. Esquire here, another section that they have on their site that's impressive is this. They have a full, like, just, they could have designed this better. The way that it looks is okay, but the main thing is they're so validated, and then they have all these reviews, and it's just, they're really proving that they're good because of their customers. Another thing, too, is that they are focused on looking at specific B2B companies and using their logos as well. I've actually rarely seen on any moving companies them using a Remax logo. I mean, that's usually, you have to get permission, right? So they're really leaning on logos. They're really leaning on validation, not just from reviews, but where they are reviewed. And I'll hop off of this next onto the next thing. So in the report, we've followed the above the fold, the sticky header, and navigation modifications. One thing I wanted to point out that is a high priority, and you need to change this immediately before doing anything else. If you're watching this, pause this video when I'm done telling you this, go into the website and follow along and fix this. The link is broken on the Book Now page. If you go to the homepage and you click Book Now, it's going to something that's broken. So there's a lot of people who are probably trying to book with you and see this. They're not going to want to work with you. You're going to be very lucky if they call you. The reality of the situation is if I look at this screen, I don't see a phone number. I just tried to book now. I can't. There is no visible contact more because of the layout of the logo being in the middle. It compresses the navigation to push those to more. So a lot to unpack here. Pause, fix that Book Now button now, and then come back to this video. Let's continue after that. Some things we're going to find, they're going to probably make you think, oh, I wish I already knew that, or I wish I did that. It's okay. That's why you're doing the advertising report card. We're going to help you find all these items and get them fixed. So now that you fix the Book Now button, let's click Learn More. It doesn't do anything. So all traffic going to your homepage gets stuck at the main two call to actions after they've accepted cookies on the prominent call to action. So I would say that there's a lot of things here that are not terrible. The concepts of them are good, but this is not built to convert. It's broken, for one. Things are missing, for two. And the overall layout needs to be modified in order to convert well. And the reason why I'm giving this instruction in the way that I am is because I'm very confident in objective data. Objective meaning it's in the numbers. These changes will change your conversion rate. You'll see it in Google Analytics. You'll see it in your booking calendar because you will book more jobs when people sign up more and you sell more. So that is why it is not really of my opinion. A lot of what I'm saying here is that if you were to run the heat maps, click tracking, eye tracking, and every other format of tracking for user experience on a user interface or on your website, sorry for not using the nerd language, how people experience your website, if you are looking at that, you'll see that these changes will absolutely make a big difference. And don't forget, move those social media icons to the footer, and let's fix this navigation. A couple other quick things. I don't want to spend too much more time on this because it's clear that there needs to be a lot of different items of that, but the examples and the competitors that we've shown and the competitors that we've pulled, if you look at some aspects of their site, you're going to see things that you like and you're going to want to see them on your site because they are going to help you. One of those things is the services layout. Again, this isn't terrible, but it's just a quality issue. Some letters are capitalized, some letters are not. The images are okay, but it's more of like a layout thing. When you hover over them, you don't realize that they're really clickable except for the mouse. There's no color change. There's no indication that they're actually going to take you somewhere. It's just like you're clicking on an image. This section is good. One thing I wanted to point out is that there are some examples of how you could maybe take this to the next level if you're interested in and really trying to show your process. One thing I thought that was really interesting with Esquire is they have a step-by-step process of what they're supposed to be doing. And then there's another So this is marathon moving. And what you can see here is you have this section. This is what this looks like. This is how theirs looks. Similar. The thing is color contrast. Background faded to about 80% gradient over, the transparency over black. So you can see there's somebody looking at a signing off on a contract in the background with a mover, but it's not up front. The colors and the design make the biggest difference, and you're telling them the process and giving them a very subtle call to action. We're going to take care of you. You can trust us. Get a free quote or call us. So there's no call to action that's making people convert. The headlines need to be worked. The content needs to be worked. And I would recommend introducing some more icons versus just being so picture heavy on the site so that you can kind of tell the story a little bit more concisely, which is a lot more normal in the world of apps and mobile phone usage. Also, this section here I would scrap entirely just because it's a photo gallery. It takes room up on the site, but if you hover over it, there's no indication of what's being done. If you were to hover over this and it would say, Best Packers in Boston with content and a button that sits at the bottom that says, call us, I'd say keep this area. But right now it serves no purpose, and what I'm instructing you to do is going to be almost more work than some of the other changes. So I would recommend just scrapping that section and bringing the review section up, but also being more concise about how you do the review layouts, which is broken down more in the report card. So without further ado, let's move in to how you rank with the site that exists, and I have some good news for you. I was actually surprised by some of the results that I found. So let's hop right into it, okay? So you'll have access to these individual reports, but I'll show you through the video on your position tracking on this side, is that you have a very low position. I'm sure that you were aware that you might not have the best SEO. It's fine. Main thing about SEO in a city like Boston is it's highly dependent on how competitive your competitors are as to how much you have to swing on the SEO side. And that's where I thought I found some good news for you. So first of all, in the top 3 positions for keyword rankings, I'm going to go straight to that report right now. Actually, let's start there. One moment. We can do top 10. Top 3 is the same thing, but... So what we did when doing an index, we saw that you submitted a lot of cities that you wanted to target. And the thing about that is you have to have budget for each city. So we have to figure out the volume in each city for you to actually reverse engineer the cost per click against the volume to find out how much you want to budget for each city. I have a calculator that I'm going to show you how to do that exactly. So that might have sounded complicated, but the main thing is you can spend money in any city, but if you have a capped budget, like unless you have an unlimited budget, if you have a capped budget and you want to be conservative financially, which is what we always recommend, never jump 2 feet into the water. You want to make sure that you lean in. And one of our huge philosophies at Advertising Report Card is net profit positive reinvestment into additional marketing and additional channels. Make sure you're covering your expense with the work that you're doing to invest in more. So when it comes to launching in multiple cities, Boston is different. You have a lot of districts. You can launch in multiple cities in Boston, but you want to be careful because people who search for Boston are going to eat the budget from a lot of the other cities. So we want to make sure that we allocate that budget appropriately across the different cities. And choosing too many cities with a capped budget means that each city is going to have a limited chance to perform. So with all that being said, that's on the Google Ads side. Let's look at the SEO side. Alston, number 1. Long distance moving companies in Alston, number 1. Moving help near me in Austin, number 1. And the rest of these are number 3. What this shows is that your address is actually in Alston. So of course you're going to be able to index there the easiest because your GMB is tied to your actual physical address, which is located in Alston for this company. So you're able to rank in Alston. That's great. What the awesome news here is that your site was able to rank at all with the very thin content that it has on it. And what I mean by that is the pages themselves just don't have a lot of content. If you go to like long distance moves, there's barely, I don't even think there's definitely not 300 words on this page. I don't even think there's over 200 words on this page. I think it's very low character count. I'm surprised that we're ranking at all for those sections, right? So go to packet and storage. I don't even see the city name on these pages. So the fact that you're ranking at all is honestly it's good. It's really good. It means that the GMB ranks well and it's pushing your site up, because the site by itself is so light on content that it would not rank by itself unless there were other variables involved. The domain AOAMoving.com has originally gained its traction online in 2013. Now, I do not know the ownership and exchange or how you guys came to be AOA, but the main thing is the domain is seasoned. So with that being said, that might have an impact on what the SEO is, and it might also mean that you'll be able to get to the top of SEO faster against your competitors. And what I mean by that is if you look at the overall picture of the domain AOAMoving.com by itself, it's a little grim. It's there's no data at all for the lifetime of the domain. This is what we're looking at right now. We're going to do all time. As you can see, January, May, the 2012, 2013 is where the website started. But you can see here that we just don't really have any data. So on that aspect, if you were to say, how are we positioned for SEO? And if you were to only look at this type of a report that shows the overall scan of authority and all the different jargon for SEO, you'd say you have one backlink and zero authority. It's like you don't even exist. But that's not true. Because if you were to check, and let me open this right now, also long distance moving companies, you're open right here at the top. So what I'm looking at when it comes to the actual listings is that your actual organic listing down here is not ranking very well. You can see here, where is it? We still haven't came across AOA yet. You can actually do Control AOA. We see AOA there. And then we see on Angie's list through the description, which is, wow, you don't always get that. And then you got Thumbtack, AOA moving. That's it. So you're organic pushing off of sites that when you get, when you click on Thumbtack, you're going to see 20 movers. It's not really conducive. You want to have your own link right here. You're already ranking number one. Again, this is almost 100% dependent on GMB. So this is a localized organic result. And with SEO, it's not just how many pages you have on your website. It's how much your GMB is going to be useful to the people directly around it. But then also from there, if you wanted to expand that geo influence to increase your rank on also what your website and GMB, adding those services pages, which are going to help your conversion rate, are going to help your SEO. So it kind of ties in together. The things that are missing from your website are also missing from your SEO strategy, and simply completing the task on the website side will start you off on a better situation than you are on the SEO side. Now, again, these are things you can manage on your own. I would recommend, since this is a project that's going to entail web design and SEO, you can either do the SEO side on yourself first, and then, the web design side on yourself first, and then eventually have someone come in there and redo it, or just get the website portion done and the SEO portion done to start getting the return on investment that development would cost a lot sooner from the SEO portion itself. And as you can see in the report, that's what we dive into here. Take some screenshots and some additional notes. This is what I wanted to talk about next, is your competitors. You're obviously at the very bottom of the list that we found, and we've included the ones that you wanted us to include. Stairhoppers is one of the ones you mentioned out of the gate. Huge competitor. Probably the role model, if you will, of the Boston moving SEO effort. But you can see here that the distribution from top 3 keywords with your competitors, you're only 8 away from being completely even with Gentle Giant. So your rankings compared to your competitors really speaks more to your competitors' SEO effort than it does to your inability to rank against them. I looked at a lot of these sites, and a lot of them have good content, but they're obviously missing a lot of their SEO pieces because they're not getting that keyword gain. You could absolutely compete with your competitors on the SEO front here. And I wouldn't necessarily say that confidently if it wasn't for, again, the objective numbers behind this. Once you get your SEO going, which you literally have none of, getting to the top 5 is only, what, 7 more additional keywords. So if you got 8 more keywords ranking in top 3, you would only need 7 more to be top 5 across all your competitors organically. That's crazy. Usually in this situation, you would see hundreds of keywords top 3, varying from core keywords to long tail keywords and unique keywords for a high ranking site. Even Stairhoppers itself doesn't have a lot of top 3 keywords. And you got to think about all the different variations of just saying moving and packing service, move and pack service, pack and movers, pack, moving, and storage. There's so many different variations of just that service and how people look for. Like in Google Ads, we've probably seen a couple hundred easily just for that combination of services. Like completely remove moving companies and those variations and Boston moving companies and those variations. We're just talking about the core mixed services between moving and packing, moving and storage, and moving, packing, and storage. It kind of is surprising to see that there is not more growth across the overall breadth of keywords that these guys are ranking for. And this is another visual representation. It's a bubble map showing your rankings based off of your average position and keywords that you rank for. You can see here that a big cluster of your competition is not far behind you in ranking. And they have more keywords that they're ranking for. As you rank for more keywords, those are going to start at the lower position and move up. So they're in that process of kind of like holding between growth and not losing ground. That seems why they're all on top of each other. And then you can see the average position for this company is completely up above, which is Stairhoppers. Main thing, too, is when it comes to the actual method of doing SEO, there's the on-site portion, which you can 100% focus on, and you'll rank better, but you need to get your directories in order. So that's another huge thing I wanted to put here, is that your directories, like, you're not even on Yahoo or Instagram, Foursquare, TripAdvisor. The reason why people use Foursquare is not why you need to be on Foursquare. You need to be on Foursquare so that Google can register 88 different focused websites based off of the traffic that they get and show that your business is 100% unanimously encoded with your NAP. NAP, which is listed here, is name, address, and phone number. So you want to make sure that this is consistent across all of these entities. Yellowpages.com doesn't even know you exist. Apple, for Apple Maps as an example, a huge indexing point, just like Google Maps. Amazon Alexa, directions. Anything that holds Amazon as a device with Android uses Amazon Alexa, or they're using the Android operating system. All of this you're not present on. I'm surprised about the Facebook and Bing not picking you up because Google picked you up, but Bing obviously hasn't. So there's a lot of directory work that we need to get done immediately. And when that'll happen, your ranks will hockey stick up because there's all of these things that are missing. It'll be a lot easier for you to rank quickly just fixing this, which would be a very quick win for you. So you had 3 submitted competitors with 10 discovered during our research. These are the overall list of competitors. There are dozens more, but we picked these just to nitpick through them to find out how they're spending and to give you guys a good look at your competition on the back end. So just before we start, let's talk about you. And let's talk about you objectively, AOA, with the campaign that you ran. So you ran a Google Express campaign, aka a smart campaign, which is Google's way of taking people's money who don't know how to use their system. It's unfortunate. Facebook's the same way. Actually, the radio's the same way. If you don't know when to pick your spots, if you don't know how to do a good radio ad segment, if you don't know the difference and you're just giving the radio company money, then you're not really going to know what to expect from an ROI. Same thing happens with smart campaigns on Google. They're not giving you enough data and enough options to choose where your ads are shown, how they're shown, when they're shown. Google is just putting you out there using their algorithm to spend the budget in the best way that they see fit. They can't provide 0 results or no one will use their system. It's like a bike that'll roll down the street, but it's something that you can't lean on or it's going to fall off. You're going to end up spending more and you're not going to get the ROI that you're looking for. So the interesting thing that I saw out of the gate with your campaigns, and it's probably the way that they did the placements, because I'm not convinced that the word moving company in those Boston areas is $12 a click. I'm thinking it's going to be more like $20 a click, and that's because it's Boston. But I would say this. That's my inherent subjective opinion. Objectively, we have actual spend data from your account. AOAMoving is the next thing I was going to say. So the first thing is we can generate a decent cost per click in Boston. That's from the moving company stat. I'm gleaming this just from 2 keywords because the word moving company is like top 10 searched in the country for moving companies. Moving company, it's up there. So $10 to $15 cost per click is very low. So we'd have to take a look at that. But then AOA is your brand. And what blows my mind here is that the cost per click is so high for your brand. This means that your competitors are verbatim bidding on your brand name, AOAMoving, as a keyword, and they're competing against you on your own keyword. I think this is because you have no organic listings except GMB, and that I don't know why else, but you are spending more than $10 cost per click on your brand keyword. So we would want to look at the competitors who are doing that, get a good idea of what they're doing, beat them out on the website and the SEO portion, because you need to have both. SEO, you can definitely win. It's already shown in your data that you can rank #1 for city core search keywords. Just building it out is what you need to do. But then also, once that, you need to really have a budget applied to just making sure that your branded traffic gets to your website, because people are poaching your traffic currently. There's no way that your cost per click would be that high. I would imagine with the volume of clicks you got at 3 for your brand name and the cost per click being that high, you are most likely losing traffic due to competitors. So next is the overall roll-up. I would say that for using Google Smart Campaign, I've seen a lot worse results, honestly. So I think that this really boils down to the fact that you had a big negative keyword list that I saw you implement. So I could tell that you were tooling this over time, trying to make sure that you didn't show up for bad keywords that didn't make any sense, which there's a lot of them. There's definitely a lot of them. But with that being said, 118,000 impressions and only 582 clicks, what does that mean? It means that you are on the Search Partners Network, for one, which means that you are on every other search engine. A lot of them are junk ones that are on sites that exist for non-direct reasons. Google says Search Partners is something like AskJeeves.com, which no one uses anymore. It's really just a lot of bot and spam traffic, which is how you got that many impressions to begin with, unfortunately. But then also you're on the display network, which means that your text ads are being shown, and they were being shown in places where image ads should have been shown. So you might see that every now and again. You might even see it in your email for now and again because they have Gmail placements, but they're ineffective. Google is a place where you can get into the subconscious of people and tell them what's going to be happening, but when people need a moving company, they're booking within 14 days. Most of the time within 7. If they can get somebody within the same day, they will. There isn't like a huge bleed or a huge runway to capture that business, right? So you want to make sure that anytime someone's going with intent to Google to find someone to work with locally, that you're always there, that you're the best ad that's present, and that you are constantly available. That way people who are searching, your overall statistical chance of getting a lead improves that way, but then that way you're also not bleeding budget in places that don't matter. So we can remarket banner ads. We can remarket to people who have been to your site that did not convert, but this isn't that. This is just a broad blanket approach. You would want to have a core campaign and a remarketing campaign sitting underneath it with about 80%, 20% budget allocation. Next thing I wanted to point out is the 39 calls out of 118 impressions is a 0.03 conversion rate for calls. Typically what would happen on conversion rate is it's impression to clicks, which is CTR, click-through rate, and then you have clicks against your conversions, which in this instance could be calls. So you're looking at a varying number, but this is not traffic to your website and calls. These calls are coming directly from the Smart Campaign through Google Maps ads and whatnot. So your conversion rate was extremely low for the overall effort. There's a lot of ways to slice this data, but the main thing you want to look at when using a smart campaign is the overall impressions against each individual KPI, not working your branch down, because local actions and calls are kind of the similar thing. Anybody who got directions to your location on Google Maps is considered a local action, and they'll count that through this campaign just to show numbers. It's not conducive of what you're looking for. In reality, this is kind of like a click to your website, or a click for directions, or just where's this person located, or a click to see your reviews on Google. It's not a meaningful conversion action. That's what you have to be careful about with Google Express, which I think is now only smart campaigns. They launched Google Express in like 2015 or 16. I think they've consolidated it into smart campaigns, but that's neither here nor there. Let's talk to your competitors. Stairhoppers out of the gate, strongest SEO competitor, not a PPC competitor. They did a big run in 2019 and 20 and stopped. They must see that their SEO investment was doing better than their PPC attempt. SEO and PPC, if ran correctly, always outperforms SEO because of statistical placement. Let's take a look at that right now and show you what I mean. So let's pop open your number one rating again. One thing that you are seeing here is placement that we can get you in as well through the advertising portal that we run in our channel for local. But there's also usually going to be a bunch of ads right here as well. And then you're going to hit the places map. So the ads are pulled from this listing. If I were to do moving companies Miami, you can see the ads sit here. And then there's the organic listings. So the statistical chance of somebody clicking these 6 placements before even getting to your number one placement on Google Maps, well, there's only 3 placements on Google Maps. What if they only scroll to here? 3, 3, 3. There's 9 listings. You are position 7 of 9. Even if you rank organically number 1, you are position 7 when someone, as a consumer, is looking for a business. So it's really important to understand that you need to bid on your own name in PPC, but also you can bid on your competitors' names in a conquest strategy. So if you want to steal business from a competitor that is known for doing bad work, you can do that. So you have a lot of options on the PPC side. This, go back to where we were. But a thing about PPC is if it's not ran right, a lot of people stop it if they don't see the ROI. We specialize in that. We have a program dedicated for moving companies in PPC that have 10 times, and now we have some companies that are 12 to 15 times the revenue per month that they started with us. One example is 20 to 20,000. It's something that we can absolutely do with PPC alone. The main thing is that your competitors, not all of them, have done it correct, and the ones that do it correct are very direct about it, and they are absolutely competition. So stairhoppers, not competition. Stark movers, some launches over the past couple months, but the main thing to look at is that they're trying to break the market in Chicago. I thought it was funny that they decided to do that in January, but you can see that they opened up in spring again. So how they're doing in Chicago is a mystery. Step by step, you have a $26,000 run starting September 2022. So that's a big budget. And they almost exclusively went after office moving and commercial moving. So it's clear that they're looking at doing some type of industrial moving around Boston. Maybe they see some type of trend happening, but they are betting big on it and they are consistent with it. Bride moving, as you can see here, has always been consistent starting this month. Beforehand, not so much, but it looks like starting October 17th, they upped their budget. Now they're looking at spending about $9K a month. Esquire attempted a run in 2021, stopped. And again, why? Organic. Smart Penny Moving fluctuates, not a huge competitor. They were 2021. 2022, they have a modest budget. Overall budget spent at $15K at its peak. Looks like they're spending about $5K a month right now. Gentle Giant, as far as what they're doing, they're focusing on New York and Boston. So the New York is spending the majority of their budget. It looks like they have a shared campaign running on their end. One thing I wanted to point out, though, is this. This is a direct competitor. Marathon Moving is bidding on Boston terms. They're driving traffic. They're new to the PPC, and they've been increasing their budget since they've launched. And they're at about $6,000 a month. So on PPC side, you can tell out of the gate that there are competitors, and there are competitors who are leaning on PPC. The SEO competitors are really not. They are seemingly just generating the organic traffic, probably the referral traffic as well from that. I mean, if you rate so well on some of these sites like Angie's List, you can get traffic from it. But the reality of Angie's List is 40 people are going to get that lead. 40 people are going to get that lead. 20, 30, 40, like it's just, then it's being resold so much that you have to go back to them constantly and ask for refunds, and then they give you a hard time about it. This is one of the longer report cards we've done at 45 minutes, and we haven't even finished the social ad section yet. So I'm going to run through that, and then we're going to do the revenue calculator on the Q&A. So social ads audit, Stairhoppers, number one competitor. Look at that show of force that they have. That's a good image for social. So liking that. You don't need that. There's also stock abilities, but just to show it's like these guys do have a strong ad. Now, the one thing that's weird about this ad is that it's structured very oddly. It's not well designed with the text. It's linking. There's no call to action, really. It's just kind of ran together. And the link description is actually better ad copy than the overall block. This would need to be extended. It's obviously the way I'm looking at this is you're the number one SEO company. You have a team this big. Where's the rest of your media? Like, how can you be number one and only run one ad and have this be the one ad you run? I'm sure it's generating business for them because of the image, and it's pretty straightforward. But also need movers and then page breaking. On mobile, ads only show the top 2 lines of the description text. This is actually called the primary text section. And they only show 2 lines, sometimes 3. They test that, though. Desktops 3, mobiles 2. They might expand it for you automatically if the text is short enough to fit it and the image is short enough to fit it in the actual pixel length of the ad place that they're buying. But at the end of the day, you're buying pixels in the auction, and you can't take up too much space. So it's, if you're going to do a longer ad, you got to make sure that the overall top line is stronger and brings them into the read more section of the ad. Otherwise, you're going to lose them. So step-by-step movers is using a video ad. I recommend video over images every single time. I thought that the misconceptions line was a little odd, maybe outsourced ad copy, but it's working. They're running it. I like how they structure this a little bit better. You have your truck, you have your check marks. It's a little bit more well written and structured, but there's no link description. The actual item is, the ad itself is in size right for the position. It's like boxed into that gray square, and it's a message campaign, which I recommend if you're going to run one ad, do a lead gen campaign. Unless you have somebody who's going to be sitting there on their Facebook Messenger, or you have a chat bot set up. Recommend starting with lead gen and moving in the messenger. So Esquire, sorry, this is Penny, that's Esquire up there. This is Smart Penny Moving. Let me change that real quick. I really liked the Smart Penny Moving on social. They are absolutely generating leads from this. And the reason being is that they load the ad with value prop. And they have different variations of the ad. I'm not thinking the image is the best image. If you had the team in there, it would be the best image or a really strong one. But, they open up with 99% customer satisfaction rating. So that's realistic. No one's 100%. Like, having a 4.9 star rating is better than a 5-star, in my opinion, because it shows real data. So with that being said, Gentle Giant has a unique approach to their advertising on social, and they're absolutely generating leads from this as well. They make it very friendly, almost like a family's moving your family. They have a girl lifting a box, a guy putting together the items of the bed frame, which of course to everyone it's like, this is difficult. How am I going to move this bed frame? So you have some really good things. These videos are really great too. What I thought was great about this is for AOA, we could replicate these videos with stock images because it's really just people doing things and then having text showing what they do and highlighting the service. Was a big fan. Think their copy here is pretty weak, but again, I feel like they're trying to play softball with these ads, not trying to be a hard sell. Like, hey, book us today. But guess what? Who usually wins the business? The guy who's going to get in front of you with the value prop, not the people that are like, move with us if you want to. But, it's Gentle Giant. So I think that's kind of their brand in a way, right? Stark Movers, Brighton Moving, and the other competitors were running 0 ads. So that's the other thing I wanted to talk about with low-hanging fruit is you have 0 ads coming from half your competitors. Your PPC and your Google Ads cost per click, and this is a report that I pulled that we can go through on the revenue calculator together. Sorry, I didn't want to break back in, but the main thing with this is the range. So this is the cost per click for the top position for these keywords. Boston long distance moving companies, as you can see, dominate the higher cost per click range. So the first thing you're going to want to consider with this is that your long distance moves generate a ton more revenue. So the main thing with that is, of course, the cost per click is going to go up. Your competition realizes this. They're bidding up on this. You have a lot of volume in Boston for long distance moving. An interestingly high amount of long distance moving impressions. So yeah, there's competition there, but you have a lot of ability to net some traffic in that situation. If we back out a long distance, your cost per click's going down to 22, which in my mind is still super cheap. If you look in New York, it can be $40 to $100 a click. So in Boston, for it to be this low is great. You have a great range. This is actually comparable to when we are bidding on conversions in cities that have campaigns fully optimized, but we're not bidding on clicks at that point. We're paying $40 for an actual lead because Google's no longer doing cost per click, it's cost per acquisition bidding, which is another aspect that we manage through the auction once campaigns start to perform. So this is really good. I'm excited about these numbers. We've seen conversion rates with optimized sites between 10 and 30%. So looking at these numbers, your cost per lead to site without optimization, just based off of this, is like 60 to 80 bucks a lead at 20 to 25% conversion rate. You're looking at like a 100, depends on how much the cost per lead. Honestly, it'll vary. But the main thing is looking at what type of jobs you're trying to book, avoiding small jobs, avoiding furniture jobs for this specific effort. Let's say you have the team and you want to do those loading and unloading jobs where you can just send some guy in his own car to show up with your t-shirt on and your ball cap hat on and help the guy move. That's free revenue without having to use a truck. If you want to bid on keywords that generate you more revenue, like whole home moving, full family moving, if you want to focus on relocation or long distance, those are options. But at the end of the day, your competition is doing very well with PPC. These numbers and investments, like $26,000 over the span of 2 months, people usually don't throw that much money into the mix unless they're performing. I recommend starting at a certain point and moving up. And instead of doing the revenue calculator on the call, I'm just going to jump into there right now. And I'm going to get my face out of the way, put them over here. What you can see here is a daily ad spend of $100. You're spending $3,000. Every green field in this calculator you can modify to see the different calculations. Monthly management fees $2,500 for us to manage the program. It's not just Google Ads. It's Google. It's Bing. It's YouTube. It's Banner. It's mitigating against the waste of spend, mitigating against people who could be fraud clicking. We have a full offer that what we do specifically to make sure that the program works. There's a lot of ways to slice the Google Ads pie, and our monthly management fee contains a lot of what we do on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis to make sure that things are moving in the right direction. Average cost per click is 20. I put that in there just from the range on this side. If I were to highlight these other keywords and go to average, we're looking at $18. We'll keep it at 20. I'm the type of person that would rather it be projected and we do more than we projected. So let's just keep the number a little higher. And then let's talk about the amount of clicks you'll get for the budget that you have. 3,000 divided by 20 is 150 clicks. Click to conversion at a 10%. 10% is our baseline conversion rate. Anything below 10% in our reporting system and the way that we do management of campaigns is considered a red flag, and we need to work on that immediately. 10% is our baseline. A lot of people will say 3% is okay, 5% is okay. 10% static across all industries for local business lead generation, it's 10%. That's a hard number. I've worked in dozens of industries. I've spent over $100 million myself under my direct control, and it's almost the same every time. So out of this, you're getting 15 leads. So your estimates given are 100%. Out of these 15 leads, you're giving 100% of estimates. Very normal. Anytime that, actually I spelled estimate wrong. Anytime you're doing estimates, you are getting a lead, you're giving the estimate. It's hand in hand. A lot of the people are already dialing their information in on the site to get that info. And then book jobs from estimates. Now, this number is highly weighed on what you're selling, how you're selling it, how you're managing your customers. We can give insight here, but there are other people, other moving company consultants that can help you with your company's close ratio. And that has a lot to do with your software, your CRM, your team, how you answer the phone, all of those things. We don't really get involved on the back end. That's why this number is more of a discussion point. And then the average value per contract is 100% a discussion point as well as the profit margin. Because these are three things that we have no control over. We can only help give recommendations. So let's say your average contract value is $5,000 and your close ratio is out of every 4 people you give an estimate to, 1 just never calls back. We can change these numbers again to show the difference in the math here. So let me get my face out of the way again. So as you can see here, the overall revenue at that amount of contracts signed through this number, which is only 75% of all leads you've generated, is $56,000 for the month at a 25% profit margin. Again, that's out of our control. Whether you're renting a truck, you have a truck, how much you pay your people, these things are out of our control. Gross profit off the 25% is $14,000 minus the monthly expenses of ad spend and management. The net profit off of this channel, which is currently not being ran at all, is $8,500, which is a 60% net profit margin. It's not bad. There's an ability to grow that, and what comes with that is over time. Let's say we plug in the number of budget that your competitor is running. That was $6,000, Marathon Moving. The net profit margin goes up as you spend more. Everything else static. So what I'm saying is get started. Let's gear everything in together. Let's get those leads booked. Let's figure out if you have any problems. Let's get the site fixed up. Let's get you going on SEO. I think you really should start the SEO program. There's no reason why you should be ranking number 1 for a keyword. And the fact that you are means that you might have a seasoned domain that for whatever reason gets picked up quickly. So I'd like to see what we could do with that. But on the PPC side, this is what you can look for as far as the net profit goes, changing these numbers around a bit. So let's go back to 3,000. In Boston, moving companies recommend starting at 3,000. We can start at 2,500, but I wouldn't go lower than that unless we have a very special plan. But you're not going to see the performance numbers because if you spend less, you statistically have less of a chance of winning. It's like bingo. If you have your ticket in the ball that's spinning, 50 times, the chance of them pulling that ticket's a lot higher. If you have it in there one time, you might not get it pulled at all, meaning that if your ad gets clicked once and you don't have any more budget in that city to spend, you have no more spends that day to win. So that's the idea behind statistics and the comparison between having a budget and how many clicks you can get per day and how that's going to affect your conversion rate. So with that being said, let's talk revenue month by month. So this is based off of this number up here. It's the equation you can see H2 right here where it's pulling its data. This is all hard-coded data. None of this is manual entry. It's all based off of this table above. So let's say you never increased your budget. You just kept it at 3, never included social ads and got the revenue from that with the budget from that, just kept it only on PPC. Your annual revenue is going to be $675,000. That's just from spending $5,500 per month. That's your gross revenue. Now let's look at your profit margin at 25%. I'll even put it in there hard-coded because it should be pulled from here. Actually, you know what? I'm going to do this. Gross equals profit and space. Well, it's not going to give me the right number. But at any rate, gross profit, 25%. What you'll see here is the numbers across the board. So your gross profit across will be $168,000 and your net will be $102,000 for the year, just based off of this program, static all other variables. If we lower your cost per click through optimization, through $15, your net profit goes up 10%. If we narrow the close ratio, so all estimates you give out go up just a little bit, like let's say 10%, your net profit goes up 5%. So just by you improving slightly, by maybe moving smart moving away from on queue as an example, I think we're out of time. But yeah, sorry, we never really hit an hour on this before. I hope you guys have stayed tuned. Sorry about that. Just had to check and make sure I didn't just run out of tape right there. Where was I? But yeah, the main thing is we can play around with these numbers on the call for our walkthrough. But you can see here that just adding that additional amount, you're making more money off of the platform. These are consistent results. We have not had a scenario yet where a moving company was not getting these similar results or better. If their profit margin was more, if they had more budget to spend on leads, if they did PPC and social ads, which if you did sign up, we'd give some type of group discount so that the monthly management fee wouldn't go up much higher for you to net that additional value. Same thing with SEO and PPC. If you do those together, we'll give you guys the best discount that we can so that you can start them. And also, just for PPC, if starting is an issue, let us know. At the end of the day, if your average contract value is $5,000 or if it's half that, our fee is typically the cost of one solid booked move. Your ad budget is typically 1 to 2 booked moves. So as long as you can justify that, 3 moves, you can justify this program. My name is Michael Ensor. This is Advertising Report Card. I really love doing this one for you guys. Lots of interesting opportunity in one of the most populated cities, density-wise, in the U.S. as far as the sprawling Boston layout goes. Love the city of Boston. And yeah, hope you found this video useful. Make sure to ask any questions that you have. Otherwise, I'll see you on the Q&A.